feel like a lot of times we expect people to kind of understand what's going on with us, right?
But realize that it's really tough to grow unless everybody else is on board with your vision. Instead of just like telling her what I want her to do and what I want her to change in that marketing piece, I explain the why behind it.
Hello to you and yours. Thank you very much for joining us on our very first podcast, Made for More. More health, more wellness, more success, all things encompassing how we can truly get to that next level. I'm excited to have our first guest here, Mr. George Laughton in the house.
Awesome.
Our number one team leader, one of the most productive, I think, agents and teams in the entire country, let alone the state of Arizona. Built an amazing team, 225 agents, 800 million in sales. It's just incredible what you've done, incredible what you've built. So I'm excited to have you here. Excited to have a conversation on all kinds of things, leadership, growth, how to build a great team, how to operate at a high level. So first and foremost, my man, thank you for being here.
Jeremy, thank you, man. I'm excited to be here and to be invited as the number one, the very first guest in this. Heck yeah, man, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
The success, we've been partners for a number of years, and MHG and everything that they've done. So nothing but gratitude, man. And
thank you.
And you said this was like a no holds barred conversation.
Absolutely,
so,
bring the heat.
It is wide open. We can go anywhere with it. So I'm excited for that too,
right.
man.
I don't want to get too far into the backstory. We've been recording podcasts for years and years. We used to say for the longest time, we have the longest standing, real estate podcast in the industry, right? It was before people even knew what a podcast was, right? People are like, what's a podcast? 10, 12 years ago, right? It was called The Daily Dose, and we recorded, thousands of episodes. You can go back if people want to on SoundCloud, hear a little bit of your backstory. You were gracious enough to be a guest on that show for, many times. But this is a new day, a new era.
I love it.
And, this Made for More podcast, like I said, it's not all business.
Yeah.
It's not all, numbers and financials. I want to talk about, again, what do you do to operate as an individual at a high level? Maybe it's, in your relationships, maybe it's at home with your wife and your family and all those things. So I want to start there, man. What do you and how do you operate at a high level? And the second part of that is stay motivated. You've had a tremendous amount of success. So how do you operate at a high level and how do you stay motivated?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's grown over the years is I realized I had to be a much better communicator than I was. A lot of times, like early on, early business owners, young in your leadership, you have a vision and you just try to power through everything, right? But realize that it's really tough to grow unless everybody else is on board with your vision, right? And so that doesn't just mean in work, right? That doesn't just mean in my office, but that means at home too, with your wife and with your kids. And so how can you become a better communicator? That's probably one of the first things that I learned. And being an active listener, being really freaking curious, asking a ton of questions. But I think one of the things in that and explaining the why to people and communicating better, I would even something simple, man, I get a marketing piece from my Gen Z marketing gal, right, that has a few things I want different on it. But instead of just telling her what I want her to do and what I want her to change in that marketing piece, I explain the why behind it. I'm like, hey, I don't like this font because of this, or hey, this call to action doesn't really ring true with what our overall cultural and message is, what our brand story is. And so trying to make sure that you're always take one step back, communicate better. And that's actually made a big difference with my wife. Actually be a proactive listener and being more curious and getting to looking from other people's eyes, right? So that's been huge.
I feel like a lot of times we expect people to kind of understand what's going on with us, right? Obviously we're the center of our own world, of course, and it's I should expect my spouse to understand what's going on or how I feel or what I'm going through, right? And that's one of the things I've been working on too. And again, this is relationship wise, not even necessarily in business, of like explicit communication.
Yes.
Right. We can't expect people to know.
Clear communication is crucial to any relationship, whether that's in work or at home. That's what I found, and I've gotten much better at that over the years. Rather than just like my way is the best way. Yeah. It's getting curious with people and helping them grow too.
Yeah. So again, operating at a high level. I mean, you're someone that I've always, again, we've known each other. We've been partners for a long time. I know you put your health and wellness first. Right, and taking care of yourself, the machine, right?
Yep.
What are things you're focused on right now to make sure that you're taking care of that machine to, again, help you operate at a high level?
Yeah, seasons of life, man. I mean, we've once again known each other for a while. I've always enjoyed working out. It is like my stress relief. The intensity of the workouts have had to change over the years as we've gotten older. Right. So these days it looks more like more mobility, right? Like this morning, I spend 45 minutes, between stretching, mobility work, meditation, and all while what's going on. I think today I had a Dale Carnegie YouTube video going on while I was doing all that, right? And so super helpful in that. I also, so I focus a lot on that. I try to focus more on, obviously, with the fuel you put in your body, what food are you eating, making sure you get your water in, making sure that you get your electrolytes in, all of that good stuff.
And so nitro cold brews.
I don't know how you do that freaking rocket fuel, man. But that's it. It's a lot of mindset. And so mindset and movement is medicine, or things that I've always embodied.
So what's the mindset?
The mindset, well,
for you.
For me. Yeah. So it depends. It depends on what direction I'm going, right? And so today was really kind of built on confidence, right? Like no matter what, I think that there's those moments where you can feel like, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or whatever it is, or you can't achieve that next level. But I need those boosts in confidence. So I'll listen to something that has confidence oriented. Sometimes I just need to slow down a little bit too and get more think time in. When we're facing a ton of problems, like meditation becomes super important to me. Yeah. They say if you're, I try to get at least 15 to 30 minutes of meditation in, but if I'm really busy, they say you should probably be doing an hour, right? And so the busier you get, the crazier it gets, the more meditation that you try to focus on. Some great apps for that. 10% is the one I use. Guided meditation, but yeah, it's been super helpful. But it depends on what season of life or where the business is at or where the family's at or what I'm focusing on. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's just, I gotta get shit done, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. I think that, as folks are in your position, you see a lot of team leaders that kind of get forced into this, position, whether it be I have a ton of business, I need the help, I need to create some leverage. And we're not always working on ourselves, and we're not always working on our leadership skills. So how do the things that you think that you're working on translate to those leadership skills?
Yeah, so I think when you have clarity and when you have headspace, you can be a better leader, right? Like I can actually slow down and take time with somebody to get to the core of an issue, if there is an issue. A lot of times when you're at this level, it feels like all it is issues. And that can be wearing and taxing on your mindset. But if you look at it and just go like, hey, none of these are that big of a problem. And generally speaking, 30 days out from now, you're gonna look back at these and they're not even gonna bother you, right? The challenge that you're facing today, the great producing agent that left the team, or that client that's upset with you, or whatever it is, man, I'm telling you, like, even if you write it down and make a conscious effort to look back at it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, these things that were really bothering you today are really not catastrophic. So that's what I always try to remember, man, is just like, we're not saving lives. I'm going to operate with a sense of urgency, but none of these things are that big of it. It's all kind of optional. And that's what I tell my wife too, when she gets stressed out about, between kids' sports and work and all the other things that go on in our day-to-day life, is like, hey, a lot of this stuff is optional. But I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to grow. I'm choosing to get better. This is the vision I have for us and for our family, and this is the vision I have for the business. And all of that stuff, like, I'm going to do my damnedest to get there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've always kind of adopted the line: rush with the good, lag with the bad, right? You know, the things that again are those bad things, right? We can take some time with it. We don't have to report and share all those things all the time, especially not because I just don't like to share negativity or bad news, right? But we can take the time with that and let it resonate. And like you said, a lot of times those things will pass. It'll become not important. You know, rush with the good. Spend time on the good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Spend time on the positivity.
Yeah, we can dwell in the negative a ton.
Right.
One of the other exercises that I do besides the morning routine, I think is really important, is the nighttime routine too.
Yeah. What's that look like?
Gratitude journaling every single night. I've actually 3 things that I was grateful for that day. It used to just be a mental thing, like, you know, this Easter egg hunt of your day.
Right.
What were the 3 things that went well? Like, what did I enjoy? It also tells you where you find enjoyment throughout the day, and whether that's in business, with the family, and so you start noticing those more and more and more. And then I read, but I read books. I don't read business books at night.
Yeah.
I read really like positivity kind of books. It might be gratitude diaries, or what did I just read? God, there's so many great ones out there. They're actually probably more direct. My wife thinks it's funny because a lot of them are probably more directed towards females, but there's some really good content.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, babe, She's like, oh, my friends told me to read that one. I'm like, yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
I'll endorse it too.
Yes, yeah, I like
you know
it.
What I mean? Yeah. I love the documenting the things that went well throughout the day, or that gratitude, and I think that's something I'm going to adopt right there, because it's amazing what happens when you start to track things. And the tendencies, and I even relate this to sports. I coach football, right? And we started tracking our plays like during the game, of like knowing what we were doing. When you document that and you go back and you're like, wow, we do have some tendencies. You know what I mean? Some things that we're noticing of ourselves, right? But taking that to life, you know, of again, the things that you're finding that enjoyment with, or that fulfillment with, documenting that, and then how do I recreate that? Right.
And I think that's amazing, right? And like with AI today too, I actually it was my gratitude journal, no joke, Jeremy, at this point is over 300 pages.
Wow.
And it was all in my phone. I keep it in my notes section of my phone. I moved it over to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And now, like, after every night when I put in my 3 gratitudes, it like gives me little things of encouragement, but it also pulls on all of that history too. But like, hey, do you want to keep this as a highlight? Like, you know, I took my son out he's 13. He drove the Bronco in the desert, right? And it's like, do you want to keep this as a core memory that we can bring up later? I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah,
I love it.
Cool stuff like that.
Let him drive the Ranger, the boat, all the things.
Do all the things. Yes, exactly.
Love it. Shifting gears, you know, kind of to growing and operating the team. I think a lot of the folks out there are, you know, we're still in a challenging market, right? How are we doing more deals? You know, if for the team leaders out there, how are we growing and getting people productive? So I want to start on kind of that productive component. I know you just went through a series, you know, the Needle Mover series, for your, you know, the agents on your team. And again, 225 agents doing $800+ million. I mean, I'm knocking on the door of $1 billion. I know you guys have done that in the past.
Yeah.
What does that series look like? How are we continuing to get folks productive?
Yeah, I think, man, it's something that you and I, we've coached a bunch of agents, we've been in the transactions, really small, consistent behaviors, a little bit of discipline has exponential impact, right? And I tell agents all the time, like, if you want freedom, you have to be disciplined, right? Like, that's the only way eventually you're gonna get freedom. And what I found, you know, we deal with younger agents, and some people will think it's like it's an entitlement, and really to me, like, I think it's more of an impatience, right? They want to get there as fast as possibly can. And you and I have talked for years that that's what we want to do as a team, right? I want to accelerate the learning curve. I want to accelerate what could take you a decade to do on your own, or more than a decade on your own, and see if I can get that down to 2 to 3 years, right?
Yep.
And so how do we do that? Really good lead generation, I think, is key in getting these down funnel leads. As a team leader, that is one of my goals. But keeping the agents focused into the consistent daily habits of working in their database and prospecting. A lot of times how we do that as team leaders is we run creative competitions, right, within the team. Right now, over the summer, we did a heat wave hustle, right? And it tracked a bunch of different KPIs, which is really easy to do through your CRMs. And we use Sisu as a way of displaying these different competitions that we do. And sure enough, last month, the 3 people with the most consistent habits were the ones that are also the top, they were in the top 5 producers for the month, right? And so how do I encourage those behaviors of everybody else? We just had our all company meeting yesterday, and I'm like, look guys, like the story tells itself.
Yep.
Consistent behavior turns into productivity. And so these are the behaviors. There is no secret sauce in this industry, right? It is just consistent discipline. So that's one of the big ways, is like continuing to explain the why behind it. And then I'll bring them on, like I brought them onto our all agent Zoom meeting yesterday and said, what does your day look like, right? And then they hear it from these people that they think they're just doing something different that they can't do or shouldn't or haven't been doing. And it really is, it just comes down to they just probably hustle a little bit harder, right? They're a little more consistent. But some of the things that we did, like in the Needle Mover series, was give them, those are more tactical approaches to challenges that we're facing in the market today. One of those things that we have, man, we got a boatload of listings. We got a boatload of listings that are sitting on the market. What are some strategies and tactics that we can implement that put us outside of the normal process that a listing agent is going to do? One of those things that we really implement, we've seen a ton of traction on, is reverse offers. So as a listing agent, we are proactively writing offers to buyers that show interest in the home. So I love this because, one, it actually puts something, there's some reciprocity in that, right? Like if I deliver an actual physical contract to you, as a buyer that viewed the property, or a buyer's agent that viewed the property, or maybe you're just a buyer that inquired online, you feel the need to respond to it, right? So we've been seeing really good traction. And it's also a great way to test what the seller is willing to do without just doing a price reduction. So it's like a non-committal way of testing a price reduction.
Sure.
And so we've gotten really good conversations going on writing these reverse offers. That's probably been the most impactful one. One other quick strategy I'll run you guys through that we're doing is virtual broker tours. So we see value in getting feedback to our sellers, like really good feedback forms, information, but it's hard to scale a broker open that you get feedback forms on.
Sure.
So we're doing them virtually. The agent presents their offer, everybody on that meeting. So there's 10 listings on this meeting, 10 listing agents on the meeting, and they're all giving feedback forms to every single property besides theirs, right? And then we also give them a third-party valuation. So we go through another company, True Appraisal, or we go through a House Canary or something like that, to deliver a third party. Basically, it looks like a mock appraisal, or essentially an appraisal. Now, my agent, when they go to ask for a price reduction, they're armed with 10 feedback forms, and they're armed with a third party valuation. Go like, hey, here's what we got. Remember, we tried all this reverse offer stuff. You said you wanted me to counterbat or send an offer that was at 450. We're listed at 475. So we know you're willing to go down there. And here's all the other validation that we need to do that, right? And so it just shows that you're doing a ton of other things outside the box to get the property moved.
Yeah, I mean, you're proving your worth, right? Number one of the top complaints is agents, right? We make too much money. We don't earn our commission all the time, or earn our income, on the deal. So now you're showing
proactive
through proactive ways that to prove your worth and prove your value, or your value. Another one, you can take this obviously as well, that we've been pushing out there a lot, and probably not enough. I think agents have a responsibility, in my humble opinion, to guide their people through not just the buying and selling process, right, but the future planning process, and almost like, not almost, like a financial advisor would. Okay, so the process looks like, again, reaching out and touching base with your clients, family, friends, whoever that might be, of sitting down like a financial advisor would, and what does the next 3 years look like? What's the next 5 years look like? Let's look at that. I'm not trying to sell your home right now. I'm not, but planning. Hey, look, I have a kid that's a sophomore in high school, and do you know how much it costs for dorm rooms and whatnot to go into college? And this is my real life situation right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at this for myself, right? But there's a lot of other folks out there that could be in a similar situation and saying, hey, look, would you consider potentially buying a rental property? Your son or daughter could have roommates and offset that. That cost, right?
Yeah.
And now you're creating, an asset.
Yeah.
Right. So again, the process being sitting down with folks and consulting with them like a financial advisor, and what's that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
even post closing, right? Like,
right.
Something like, hey, we're done. These are clients for life. Like, let's figure out what other ways. And the cool thing with AI and what it can do too is like really make these customized campaigns. Like, if I can really continue to build out your profile, and we have some technology that's starting to do that, right? It's not perfect yet, but it's getting there. But just, now I know the age of your kids. I know that you're probably going in state, like, hey, they're going to be looking at this. So all of my marketing messaging is shifting a little bit. And eventually that can almost become automated, where we're staying in front of our clients that way, but also you need to be reaching out and doing those things as well too, right?
Sure. What are you using for that? What system are you using for?
So for those like really building out great profiles, is House Whisper. Okay. House Whisper is like the number one within our CRM, which is Follow Up Boss. They do a ton of stuff for us.
Yeah.
I mean, and it really has become this. How we think of AI is like we're trying to teach our agents it, but also how can we just do more for the agents, right?
Sure.
Like, we should be able to. I want my agents to know AI. I want them to learn it. But on our side, it's like I want to be able to do more for them, and we can start doing more for them if we've got the power of AI behind us. But let us figure all that stuff out.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
What House Whisper does well, it is like this. We call her Nora. It is their virtual assistant. Once they leave an appointment, they can call Nora, and just like any other assistant, they can disposition after the appointment. So after the appointment, they can call Nora and say, hey, I just met with Jereme. He didn't like that one we had scheduled for today. I need to get a few more scheduled for them, a few more showings scheduled. And then Nora will ask you questions like, okay, you have Jereme currently in, contacted. Do you want me to move him to showing homes and start a new campaign for him, right? And so it'll disposition that within Follow Up Boss and start tagging it correctly, put all the notes from your day in there,
right,
and then start a new campaign for you, right?
Love it.
And then it'll set the reminder to send you more properties the next day.
Got it.
So,
got it. I mean, that's
cool.
Great nuggets. I haven't heard of that. I mean, that sounds
It's
fantastic.
super awesome. Yeah.
Going back real quick to this Needle Mover series. One of the big things, again, we've talked about this for years, right? Big on scoreboards, and again, when you talk about how do I get the rest of the folks to get on board with that, it's broadcasting it for all to see, visibly for all to see, with a lead measure or a KPI scoreboard. So what are those KPIs, and what's that scoreboard look like for all to see?
Yeah, so this one in particular is points driven by a number of KPIs, but really what we look at is how many calls or how many contacts did you make? It's not so much as calls as it once was. Like, that's not a lot of people are answering the phone, right? And we think more of that's changing in the future. But text messaging, how many reach outs did you do?
Connections.
Right? Connections did you do? How many conversations did you have? Talk time used to be really crucial. That got hard to track for us, but appointments set, appointments met, submitted offers or agreements, right? That's really what we're looking at.
So any appointment, face-to-face meeting?
Any appointment, face-to-face meeting.
Got it.
So
Contact
set,
score.
and then, met.
Got it.
We want to see a great, and then
Cool.
if you have those, man, like, you can figure out where the hole is in your business, right? Like, where do I do well? Where do I need to spend more time learning? Like, hey, I get in front of people, but I'm not converting them to submitting offers, right? And so we can help coach you in those ways depending on where you're lagging, where your percentage is off.
Got it. Yeah, love it. All right, shifting gears again. Okay, yeah. I want to again. We talked about the agents and productivity. Again, your growth series or the needle mover series and KPIs and all the different things, right, for an agent. I want to kind of talk to the team leaders out there. I know there's a lot of folks obviously tuning into this right now. The team leaders of, how do I grow? How do I scale? How do I continue to get to that next level? For you, what are those ways that you've continued to grow the team and kind of do just that, continue to kind of get to that next level?
Yeah, I think from a leadership perspective and like hiring, you got to hire the right people, the people that have growth mindsets. You're really clear on what you want and key outcomes of every single role. I think that's super important, right? But let's not necessarily get into an org chart conversation here. But sure. I think one of the key things that has kept us all, my leadership team, my team leaders, these are like regional. We have regional offices now with agents in them. How I've kept everybody on the same page with communication is also being laser focused on what our rocks are. And the operating system that we, like managerial philosophy, operating system that we operate within is...
Did you say rocks?
Rocks.
Rocks.
So, rocks,
okay,
yeah.
So is this a thing?
This is a thing.
Okay.
So the rocks, which are goals, they're quarterly goals. This is all part of like EOS. You're familiar with EOS? Yeah. So I think it's Traction by Gino Wickman, I want to say, is where I was first introduced to it. Sure. Anyways, it is the entrepreneurial operating system, right? And so we run all of our meetings, all of my one-on-ones, everything initially followed that. We've been doing it so long right now that it's kind of it's become our own version of it.
Sure.
But I'll give you an example, right? And so the way that I keep my team focused on what we think is the major rock or major goal for the quarter. One of them was, in this market right now, was listing success, right? And so what is detrimental to NOI is taking on listings, spending a bunch of money on marketing, them canceling, and us not getting any of that recouped, right? Of course, you could go to your agents if they have high cancellation rate and ask for some recoup of marketing dollars and time and energy, but that's not really what we want. That's more, I always put it's more stick than carrot, right? And so we need to like coach our agents on how to be better and create a better listing success. So our rock quarterly for this has actually been this first half of the year was to improve our listing success. We do a bunch of seller leads, online seller leads. We were about at so the market, just to put this in perspective, the market's at a 67% success rate right now. 67% success rate.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we always want to be better than the market. And so I don't go, hey, we're going to hit 80% success rate, especially when we're converting a bunch of online seller leads. I say we're going to be 5% better to 8% better. So 5 is the minimum target, 8% is our kind of our stretch target than what the market is, all right? And so that's the goal. And then I say, okay, what 3 strategies are we going to implement to work on moving that number? What do we think is going to be the highest priority and have the highest impact, right? And so what we'll do is, the things that we came up with was a really good seller activity report. We said we do a lot of shit for our sellers. We do a lot of stuff for our listings, but I don't even know if our agents know all that we do. 1, 2, definitely our clients don't know all that we're doing, right? And so how are we going to communicate that?
Yep. Explicit communication.
Explicit communication, right, on a weekly basis. And so we started putting together an army of VAs now pull from the aggregate sites. They also take all of our Instagram, Facebook ads, and then they put it into a nice report, a weekly report. Some of it is now automated. We've worked with other companies to help us automate this. And so now we have a weekly report that goes out to the sellers. Now what we ask our agents to do, so every Tuesday a seller gets this report, right? So they know how much traffic was going on Zillow, how much on Homes, how much on RDC, how much on Trulia, like all the sites. What did we have interest through the MLS? What has the feedback been? And how has our social media campaigns been performing, right? Open house feedback, things along those lines. The client gets that and the agent gets that on Tuesday from us. What I ask them to do, what I ask the agents to do, is create a Loom video walking through all of that, right? Here are all the things we've done to bring people through your front door,
Sure.
right? Never ask for a price reduction that day, never ask, but just give the information. Talk about the competition, right? And then if Thursday comes around, then you ask for a price reduction if one is needed, right? And that's what was needed in today's market. Yep. We were finding a lot of listings canceling that didn't have significant price reductions on them. And so we want to be able to communicate that up front, make sure that we're pitching this in our listing presentation, but also communicating really well. Now, that rock is known throughout our entire company, right? I talk about it on team meetings. I talk about it on my one-on-ones. Everybody knows that this is a goal that we have, that we think is going to have the biggest impact on our business in the next half of the year. And so succinct communication, I think, has been key to growth, as well as focus.
Yeah.
That was one of the three strategies. I won't go into the other two, but at the end of the day, man, it is lasered focus on what you think is going to have the biggest impact on the business, and that's what continues growth.
Love it. Let's talk team structure. Okay. Again, I want you to kind of bring yourself back a little bit to, a 5 or 10 agent person, because I want to appeal to the masses of team leaders out here. Yeah. Okay. So the 5 or 10 agent team leader, right, that wants to get to where you're at, which would be a stretch goal, obviously for most people out there, getting to 200 plus agent team, but on how to structure that team, and then take us to how you're currently structured with your level 10s and different things like that.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to stay at that when you're a team of 8 to 10, right? Yeah. You want to stay at that spot a lot of times because it feels.
I hope not, though.
But right? Exactly. Yeah. I because they're scared of the next step, right? They love the family feeling they have, right? They enjoy the camaraderie, and all of that's good. But you haven't built a very durable business at that point, right? I was there, and I lost my top producers. Yep. Right. That hurt. That really hurt. Not just revenue, but you poured a ton of time and energy into these people, right? And so in order to be more durable as a company, you got to go, okay, well, what's next? Well, going from 8 to 10 to 15 doesn't really change much. You don't have the economies of scale there. You probably need to be going to about 25. That just gives you a little bit more balance, a little bit more durability. Somebody leaves, it's not as big of an impact. And that's what that's really what I was struggling with too, was agents that left, right? Agents leave. When you're 8 to 10, you don't want anybody to leave. You love them. I still love all of them. I'm still good friends with all of them, right? Yeah, sure. I still root for their success.
Absolutely.
But it used to pain me when agents would leave, right? Like, gosh, man, what did I do wrong? What was this like? I would do exit interviews, and I would find out shit, a lot of this stuff is, there would be a number of reasons. Sometimes it was us. Sometimes it was them. A lot of times it was life events. Things were changing in what they wanted to do and with their commitment levels. And so instead of focusing on the agents that leave and asking why did they leave, I started focusing on why do they stay. And I started really talking to the agents. How do we get better? Yep. What do you want from us? And what I found was they want to know, especially the good ones, want to know what's next. Yep. How do we grow together? What is that growth path? And so that was really the birth of, and this is how I think you go from 10 to 25 to 50 to 200, is you really have to create growth paths within your company. And so we call it the agent journey, which is different levels of agents, so 1 through 4, and each one of those have different goals, different measures, right? Different pillars of their business, whether it's company generated meaning leads that we generate for them. They're probably going to be working 90% our leads, right? But over time, they need less of our leads as they continue to build the database. So with those levels come different split structures, right? It improves as you continue. Reward the doers, reward the producers. I say I'm always fair, but I'm not equal. We're running a business here. Yes, these guys get better splits than you do
Right.
because they're producing, they've proven themselves, right? And that's the way I always believe it should be. They also get
Earning playing time.
exactly right. I think there's also a hierarchy of leads, right? And so this level 1 is a prove it to me stage.
Sure.
Prove it to me that you're going to do the things, you're going to be consistent, and then I will reward you with opportunities, right? Level 2, they've earned some of it, and then it continues to progress from there. In the hierarchy of leads, those improve over time too. They're, a teed up seller lead appointment. Well, maybe not as much in today's market as it once was, but that was
Still
the
valuable.
gold standard, right?
Sure.
And then we also put luxury has been one of the big carrots, giving them luxury leads, and then also setting a floor on the dollar amount that so they're not going to receive the, $300,000 property in Rio Verde or in Buckeye, right? Sure. They have a floor, and then they're more regionalized, and so that's how we continue to reward the doers over time. And then we've implemented allowing them to start teams within the team.
Is that a level 10?
That is actually, so we only go to level 4.
We're level 4. Okay.
So level 4, then they can do. It gets confusing.
Here I go. I want to go to level 100.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. So, but yes, that's and what it's eliminated. One, it's helped with retention, but it's also eliminated the change in splits conversations.
Yeah.
Right. Like, somebody coming like, well, great. You only have 5 more deals to close until you hit level 3, and then this does change. And here are the other things that go along with that.
Sure. I always respect and understand, kind of like you said as well, like the 5, 10 agent team that might want to stay small and stay kind of a family type of a unit, but I just always come back to, like, if someone was talented and wanted to come to you as that team leader and wanted to grow, wanted some guidance, would you bring that person on your team? And the answer 99 times out of 100 is yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I'd bring that person on. Right. And so I'm just a big believer in looking for, in wanting to attract talent, if they fit within the confines of the culture, right, of the team, of that family unit, that we should be looking for opportunities to grow and looking for talent. And like you said, to have a more durable, as we said, durable or viable
business. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I maybe one day this will change. Like, growth is the vision.
Right.
Always will be the vision. Everybody's like, well, what do you want to get to? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I got more to give. So I can't really tell you what the end game is. Like, yeah, we have 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals. I'll tell you though, we pretty much always hit our 1-year goals, market permitting. But things can look really different in 5 years. Not that it's hard to do. You got to have some sort of vision you're driving to, but some priorities may change. You might find more durable parts of the business, right? You might find something. So still create all of that stuff.
Right.
But I'm not saying we're going to get to 1,000 team members one day, or 10 billion in sales. Right. But we're going to always continue to grow.
I think you hit the nail on the head with more value, more to give.
Yeah.
And I think that the mindset, I would encourage folks that are trying to grow, that are trying to get to that next level of to adopt that mindset of, I have more to give. It's just like if I'm an agent in production, when I'm reaching out to sellers, like I want to give. I'm not trying to sell. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to add value, and I'm trying to give. And if you come from that space, which again, I hope that we're coming from that space in this industry, then why wouldn't you want to impact?
Yeah.
Right? That's what the whole point of this podcast is about, right? How can we impact more? And again, taking it from a smaller team to a bigger team, I think we have to change that mindset of, well, how do I get a further reach in a shorter amount of time? Mm-hmm. It might be less one-on-ones with folks, but you still have a ton of value to give, and maybe it's groups of 4 or 5 or 9 or 10, right, that you can do that, right? So how did that change for you, or how does that continue to evolve?
Yeah, so trying to figure out ways to scale, how can you help more agents, right? So it's not just me, right? We've got a team of leaders now that help agents, and so trying to shift that manager to agent ratio, I think is key, right? You're saying a team of 10, yeah, you're doing 10 one-on-ones, is it weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is. But it's also gotten a lot easier to do one-on-ones, right? I want really good real estate coaches. That's what I want in my leadership, right? Really great real estate coaches. But if you have technology now that are listening to your Zoom calls, right? You're taking really good notes. You understand the people's why. And then you can also go to group coaching. But that's also, with the levels, that's one of the other things to bring it back in. Level 1 has group coaching. They don't have one-on-one coaching yet, right? Level 2, some of them do, not all of them, but then 3s and 4s definitely have that group coaching. So segmenting your agents into what is their needs, right? And then making sure you figure out a way to manage your time effectively too, right? But there's a lot of support now in technology and also within a group chats, right? A lot of times my other agents are solving agents' problems if you've got a good culture of that, right?
Yeah, love it all. George, obviously we could keep you here all day long or every single day of the week and go on and on. Obviously a tremendous amount of value, but obviously respect your time and appreciate you doing this. Last thing, you said growth vision. That's one of the first things I have in terms of my notes. When I sit down with somebody like you, I can't help but think growth vision, right? It's very ironic that you said that. Again, it's the first thing on there. So for you in that growth vision going forward in this industry, right? What's the next thing you're looking at? What's the next hurdle you're looking to overcome? What's maybe the next change in the industry that you see coming, or as you again continue to grow and go forward? What are you looking at out beyond the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, for us, a lot of it is some technology related, right? So how can we incorporate more AI into what we do? And we touched on this a little bit, but that really is, how do we move from, for our team members and for our clients, how can we do more for them, right? And so clients, and what they want, delivering a better experience, right? And for our agents, they just want, they want to be where I want them to be, where the highest and best use of their time is, which is in front of clients, right? And so how can we do more for them? That's where we're spending a lot of time. I think the future is really embracing that technology, right? Really figuring out how AI can be incorporated into your business through transaction management, through ad creation, not just copy, right? And implementing those quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we're not just technology enhanced, or not enabled, I should say, not technology enabled, but technology enhanced, right?
I love that.
And how do we continue to take that next? I mean, again, George, you are a prime example for what this is about. This podcast, made for more. You show up, you deliver at a high level. In all walks of your life, or all aspects of your life. And again, this is what this is all about. So appreciate your time. Hope you all enjoyed this out there. And until next time, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. See ya.